Right. Hello, everyone. We're presenting developing a classroom management plan using a tiered approach. My name is Noah Sanchez.
I'm Megan Mayo.
I'm Jessica Munoz.
I'm Anthony Ponce.
And I'm Tanner Tretna.
To start things off, what is RTI? RTI stands for Response to Intervention. It includes the use of assessment data, progress monitoring, and evidence-based practices to identify students in need of support. These are meant to help students in need of support and to monitor the progress. Teachers are also able to adjust the difficulty of the classroom depending on the student's response towards this practice. This practice can be used by special and general education teachers. The assumption of RTI is that when teachers apply this practice, the majority of students will make satisfactory gains. And when applying this concept to classroom behavior, it should enable the vast majority of students to follow the classroom expectations. And to the students who do not respond positively towards this practice, they will require additional levels of support.
So there is a 3-tier model of classroom behavior. The first tier is focusing on preventative classroom management. Tier 2 is first line interventions, and tier 3 is intensive individualized interventions.
So there are 6 effective behavior supports that are outlined in the paper, and those are high teacher expectations, stimulating instruction with high levels of student engagement, rules and norms that are clearly communicated. There are also established routines and procedures, positive rapport between student and teacher, and efficient use of classroom time are the 6 effective behavior supports.
So tier 1, which focuses on preventative classroom management, focuses on the universal support for all students with the emphasis on prevention. The guiding question of this tier is, what is the core behavioral curriculum provided? Some of the strategies that are used in this tier is to choose the tools that are either in place or can be put into place to address this tier of support. So some examples are the response cards, choral responding, peer tutoring, and more. Some of the important behavior supports of this tier is high teacher expectations, so having stimulated instruction and high engagement with the students, and then having established classroom rules and procedures in place.
So this is tier 2, first line interventions. The focus of this tier is to provide additional support to students struggling with standard curriculum through surface management techniques and reinforcement systems. Surface management techniques are like approaches that are effective for dealing with minor behavioral problems in day-to-day classroom activities. Reinforcement systems provide consistent consequences to specific behaviors, reinforcements of desired behaviors. So the guiding question is what interventions or additional behavioral supports are in place? In tier 2 strategies, some of them that are listed are changes to academic instruction, which are tutoring programs, literacy lab, review supports. There's also positive reinforcement systems, the token economy, behavior contracts, remedial interventions or tutoring support, contingency systems. Those are like the loss of privileges and timeout, behavioral contracts, group contingencies, surface management techniques. There's a homeschool note system as well.
So tier 3, intensive individualized intervention. Tier 3 behavioral support begins with functional behavioral assessments. An FBA shows us what a student's individual behavioral needs are. FBAs are used to find the function of the problem behavior and allows educators to hypothesize what is maintaining the problem behavior. The 2 strategies used to implement appropriate replacement behaviors are social skills instructions and self-monitoring instruction. Social skills instructions focus on the instructor reinforcing more acceptable behaviors over maladaptive ones. The belief is that since behaviors are learned, we can always change or shape behaviors that are present to something more acceptable. For social skill instructions to be considered a success, the behavior has to be generalized across different places, different scenarios, and different situations. Self-monitoring instruction focuses on the student monitoring their own behaviors. This makes students more aware of their behaviors and things that they need to accomplish in order to get their reward or reinforcer for following through with the appropriate behavior.
Cool. So the question of the hour is, why use a tiered approach for behavioral management? And according to the paper, they said that an RTI model provides a framework for teachers to evaluate classroom practices and make decisions about the level of intervention or support needed. This is important because it gives the educator multiple strategies to diffuse a behavior. They don't just have that one strategy that they go to, because eventually that strategy is going to fail and they need more supports to fall back on, or tiers to kind of ramp up and when they need to really like hone in on a problem behavior. A tiered approach also allows the educator to lay a foundation of rules and expectations that provide a clear and concise framework for behavior. The paper stated that without a solid core of behavioral support in the classroom, students don't have the guideposts necessary to learn, practice, and develop desirable skills. Behavioral management in the classroom is a lot like a house. If it doesn't have a base, it's not going to hold. If a behavioral management plan doesn't have a base or guideposts of rules, the kids aren't going to be able to follow rules that aren't spoken and clear and concise. And thirdly, a tiered approach also allows for the teacher to clearly communicate behavioral standards to anyone outside the room. When asked upon what is your strategy for behavior, you have this nice tiered approach where you can list A, B, and C, and you can give someone a very clear and concise message.